Hello.
Hi. Yes.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are excited. Rolling Out's excited to be able to support you in this new project. So it's good to talk to you.
Oh, good to see you.
Absolutely. So this is exciting. You're in it's an anthology that is in parts, 4 different parts, right?
Yes.
And you're in retribution. So tell us about this project, because what's interesting to me is that it is kind of based on biblical characters. How does that work?
Okay, so it is an anthology and it's 4 different separate parts, and all of them are 2 hours. So you'll see, for my part, Retribution, you'll see the first part on this Thursday, and the second hour will be on the 18th of November.
Okay.
But Kay Singleton, who is an African-American woman, and she also is an actress as well, she wrote this based on biblical characters. But what's awesome about it is she brought it into a modern day context. And so you will, whereas, you'll see, I don't know if she wants me to give away who I am as far as in Bible, but
that was
it would be,
who is Bernice exactly? Like who?
Well, Bernice,
she has 2 sons. So I'm thinking maybe one of the ladies in the Old Testament that had Jacob and maybe like
okay, so I'm going to give you, are you pretty good with your Bible stories?
I'm pretty good with my Bible stories.
Okay, so I'm going to describe to you Bernice, and I'm going to see if you're going to figure it out. Okay. So Bernice was very gorgeous.
Okay.
And her husband had to have her. And so she married him. And he obviously had some indiscretions.
Okay.
And she obviously had some children with him, but very wealthy, very powerful. But he saw her and had to have her. Do you remember that story in the Bible?
There's a few stories like that. Obviously Sarah was very beautiful, and they mentioned that sometimes. Was it David and Bathsheba? Because yeah.
It's a Bible.
Yeah.
She might make it into heaven.
Nice. Oh, that you know what? That's interesting, because I never would have thought of that story being presented like this. That's really interesting.
So and you won't see it from the, of course, in the original biblical story, he has her husband killed to get her. We don't pick it up from there. Once he has her.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I'm all in. I'm definitely all in.
Yes, I mean, it is so good.
Yes.
So good. And you know how sometimes when you think about anything that's a biblical sort of story, it's sort of stale and it's not, it's very tame, shall we say. This is untamed, honey, unbridled. Kay, her writing is superb. And she just, I mean, you were sitting on the edge of your seat like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen next? Like,
I'm intrigued, because
it's going to be so good.
Yeah. I was looking at your Instagram and you put, Bernice got her bag. She's definitely, 99 problems, but the money and all that is not one. So she has 2 sons. And I wonder, first of all, I didn't realize this was based, connected so closely to a biblical story, but I did see it's that she has 2 sons. I know you have 2 sons.
Yes.
So I wonder how you approach, the role, knowing it's got to be a natural instinct to automatically think, what would I do as a mother if I was in the same situation with my own sons?
Well, and I think what makes Bernice very different from Phaedra is she is definitely a housewife.
Okay.
And so she's not like me out working and making it happen for herself. So she is definitely that wife that, she's the trophy wife.
Yeah.
And so she's come into this, relationship, and her stepsons are pretty much probably within 5 years of her age. So it's that sort of tension because, you know, your stepmama could really be your girlfriend, you know, that's a little weird. And, you know, when an older man chooses a young woman, you know, it's always like, the side eye. So, you know, it was very different because I've never had that situation myself, but I know just as a businesswoman, Bernice is that. She's a businesswoman and she understands the business of marriage. And she understands why she got married. And, you know, she understands how to protect her children's legacy.
Right. That's really important. And that's going to be an interesting concept. We know, like you said, you're not in that exact situation because we know that you wear multiple hats. So one of the things I wanted to ask you is how do you balance, because being a mother, we know that you're very involved with your little ones, and then acting and doing a lot of different things that you do. How do you manage to juggle all of that and still maintain time for Phaedra and what's important to you and staying connected to, you know, just self-care for yourself?
Well, you know what? And it's funny that you asked because no one has time to be a mama because mamas don't have time to do anything else because being a parent is a full-time job. And when you add single parent in it, which I tell people, you can be married and still be a single parent.
Very true.
Depending on what type of spouse you have. It's very hard to balance. And so, you know, people say, you know, how can you have it all? You really can never have it all at the same time. You have to choose what's most important every day and make a conscious decision. This is what I will handle today. And at the end of the day, this is how I will keep myself sane because, you know, I think during COVID, if we didn't learn anything else, we learned the importance of self-care. We learned about how fragile mental health can be for so many people, especially people of color, because we don't have those very hard conversations about, you know, taking care of our mental stability, because it's not easy to obviously be an African-American woman or to be any woman and to deal with, you know, just if it's not the discrepancies in wage differentials between men and women, opportunities for men and women, just is so much going on. And as a mother to boys, you know, Black Lives Matter, police brutality, you know, just the things that every day you wake up, you have to, as a parent and as a person of color, you have to think, when I walk out of my safe haven, this is what I'm dealing with. And so it's hitting us at so many different levels. You have to be very conscious and cognizant of, okay, let me take a moment to breathe. Let me take that moment to get my nails done. Let me make sure, you know, I spend 5 minutes meditating. You know, and I'm really big into Reiki healing, really big into, you know, meditating every day, walking, you know, getting adjustments. I like to do a lot of holistic stuff, and I have to schedule it in just like it's a part of my job, because if I don't, you know, you just one day you wake up, you can't get out of bed. You know, I heard a comedian the other day, he's like, the older you get, you have to preheat before you get up in the morning. So I don't have time to preheat. I need to be able to get up and keep it moving. So I'm always saying, you know, and the other day when I went to my chiropractor, I said, you know what, I want to start something for women, a club that is focused on self-care. Because so many of us, I'm out here every day like, okay, who's got, you know, spas that are, you know, really focusing on this for women, or talking about this issue that women are facing, because we're facing so many things health-wise that, you know, unless someone's doing the research, you know, it's just going by the wayside. And so that's probably going to be my next venture, doing something in the field to just make women better, and particularly women of color and working women and moms, because we don't have time to, you know, take care of our skin and, you know, just do all the stuff that you need to be your whole self.
I wonder, because I know you've, you know, been just that career ambitious woman from a very young age. Are there are there lessons, maybe one or two things that you would have told your younger self that you didn't really have a true understanding of? You know, you get older, the older women would always say, oh, when you get older, you'll know.
Yeah.
Some stuff you just don't know. But what are
just,
that you wish that you would as a younger woman?
Probably, looking back, I probably would have told myself not to be so serious and so hard on myself. Because, you know, everybody knows I got all these college degrees. I kept going to school, kept working. And I always made time to take lavish vacations and all that stuff because I'm fabulous at that. But, you know, sometimes you are so hard on yourself. But the things that I prioritized, I always made sure I did. And a lot of my girlfriends, like having children, they didn't do it. And now, you know, they're lamenting those decisions because it's a window for that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I said, smart women have got to have more children.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got to.
I'm with that. That's a good headline. That definitely is true. And I think I know a lot of women that did not do that, and they are, unfortunate. Nature is just, you cannot.
And I just thank God someone pulled me to the side and said, Phaedra, it's not easy to have a baby. You've got to think this out because it's not easy. Because you just think, oh, you know, I mean, and I think now, you know, we see with the rise of IVF, you know, just all the things that people have to do to make that a reality for themselves. And I think, especially with women of color, when we get into these career modes, we're gonna give it 200%. We're gonna be the first to arrive, the last to leave. And like I tell one of my best friends, I'm like, everyone is replaceable. Yeah. And unfortunately, you know, being in the funeral business, I mean,
yikes, you see it on a daily basis. Yeah.
I mean, the companies don't stop because the leader passes. Someone else gets the job. So you got to take care of yourself and place yourself in the pilot seat of your life, because if you don't, you know, people are only going to treat you as well as you treat yourself.
Well, I'm going to flip it a little bit. You mentioned having it all. And we know that in most of our definition, having it all is having our babies, having our career, and having love and marriage. And so I want to ask, as a boy mom, I ask this to guys, girl dads all the time. When you are a single mom of boys, did that change the type of man that you would be open to being married to eventually, if you want to get married again? Is it different because you're looking at it from the perspective of, my sons are going to be looking at this person as a role model? How has your definition of what you need in a man changed because of being a mom to young boys?
Yes, I mean, and I think I'm super conservative because I did grow up in a very strict Pentecostal Kojic household. And so, you know, and everyone's like, oh, Phaedra, when are you going to get married again? And I'm like, I'm in no rush for that. I like being able to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, when I want to do it. I like that. But it does make me, I'm very aware of bringing people in our space, you know, and I make it a requirement, pretty much everyone that is around my boys, as far as like tutors, coaches, they are guys who have a great character. They are men of integrity. And being a man of integrity doesn't mean that they're perfect, but that means that they have some morals. And, you know, I'm inspired by how they behave and conduct themselves. And so that's very important because, you know, I think African-American boys have to see people that they can emulate. And that can be anyone from the pastor down to the landscaper. But it has to, you know, it has to be someone that's saying to them, okay, no matter what you become in life, you can be successful, but you have to do it a certain way. You have to do it the right way, you know? So yeah, it definitely, being a boy mom makes you very aware of the men you bring in your space and the company that you keep.
Absolutely. Well, my last question is just, for those viewers that may not have been familiar with the series, give us something that they can take with them to remind them to tune in on Thursday. Something about the retribution that we may not have seen. What's different about this series than everything else on television right now?
Well, I think what's different about this series that it is based on a biblical story, but it's not a cornball. But you know, for people that are very conscientious, it is from an African-American woman, Kay Singleton. It's, you know, the parent company is AMC, and we all know, everybody knows AMC puts out only top-notch products. So it is a great anthology, but you know, for those who have missed me, you'll get to see me in a different light. You'll see me as an actress, and I mean, but you will definitely be entertained. I mean, and I think with the era of TV that we're in now, where everyone is into streaming, All Blacks content is unmatched. It's definitely unmatched. So I think you will not be upset with subscribing, and if you do, I'll guarantee your money back.
We'll take that. Definitely take that. Thank you so much, Phaedra, and congratulations. We definitely look forward to seeing you on Thursday.